In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the new multi-chart viewer in the context of using it with one of the existing templates. And I'm going to use it with the MACD divergence double top daily signals template. So first of all, I have my symbol list over here. I've updated the data through to the end of the day using intraday update after the market closed. I now have prices through to the close, and the close just happened 15 minutes ago. So I'll just hit run and wait for a few seconds for it to calculate all of the signals, and when it's finished it comes back with the list of potential double tops for each of the four categories. So I'm going to take a look at the category where ZIG is 7%, and I'm going to sort this by divergence. I want divergence yes, and I'm just going to double click on one of these signals. This video is all about the multi-chart viewer and not so much about MACD top, but I wanted to show it in the context of one of the templates. So to bring up the multi-chart viewer, you just double click on one of the cells, and once you've got that up, I'm just going to close this window down to half size so I can fit both on the same screen, and I'm going to close down the two panels on the side to give me a little bit more real estate. And now we can see the multi-chart viewer has been brought up on the side. I've already set my viewer up to show me two windows, one above and one below, with a weekly and a daily, as you can see down here in the charts. Now if you don't have that already set up, perhaps when you first bring the multi-chart viewer up, you only have a single chart arrangement, which is a basic chart just showing you candlesticks of price. If that's the case, then click on Chart Arrangements and select your weekly and daily stacked and click OK. Or you can double click on it, it's the same thing. And so now I'm looking at a weekly chart and a daily chart stacked, still only showing price in each view. But the templates are now being configured so that the layout that's appropriate for the template is configured within the template itself. So I'm now looking at MACD divergence double top daily signals. If I'm now to click on one of these signals, now this window is showing, you'll notice that both of the charts have been updated based on the symbol. So I'm on row, I've clicked on this signal here, which is for AET. So both of the charts have been updated to AET or Etna. And what has also happened is that the layout of each individual chart has been updated to the layout that's been defined for this template. And in this case, because I'm looking at the ZIG of 7% column, my zigzag indicator in each of these charts is now a zigzag of 7%. If I was to scroll over to the 9% column, I get the same chart, but you can see down this zig down here has changed position because we're now looking at 9%, and that just happens to be how that zig looks when you set it to 9%. That feature is about linking templates with charts, and there's a button on the chart viewer which is link to template layout. So if I turn off linking to template layout in both of these charts, and then I go to the 9 again, you'll notice that the layout doesn't change because I'm no longer linking to the layout defined in this template. I can also turn off symbol linking. So if I it's the star button here, and now if I scroll around this template, I'm not updating the chart at all. I'm not linking to the layouts, and I'm not linking to the symbols. If I wanted to update the symbol for just one of the charts, I could turn on symbol linking, and I can scroll around the chart, and just the top chart now is linked to the active symbol. If I link the bottom chart as well, and I start scrolling around the template, now both charts are linked to the active symbol. And I'll turn on template linking as well, so we link to the layout defined in the template. So we have full linking for this particular template. Now I wanted to show this for really configuring the multiple chart layout. When you're using MACD divergences, it might be appropriate to have a weekly, which is my top chart, and a daily, which is the bottom chart. And that could be a good view for looking for divergences. You can look at the divergences that have been detected for the weekly chart, and then you can come down and quickly take a look at the daily chart without having to switch back and forth between daily and weekly. So it's a very useful feature for this particular trading strategy. One of the other things that's new is instead of looking at candlesticks, you might just want to look at open, high, low, and close, or even just high, low, and close. You can choose for each individual chart the setting, and then that setting obviously will stay as you start scrolling around. And sometimes it's just more convenient, or it's a simpler view to look at those bars rather than looking at candlesticks. Also, if the chart gets quite narrow, as you can see when we push this chart, squeeze this chart in, the open, high, low, close bars look much better at a thinner, where each bar is thinner than a candle bar would. And if I put that back to candlesticks now, and I start squeezing this in a little bit further, you see now the candles don't look so good. But if we had this set to open, high, low, close, it actually looks quite reasonable there. You'll also notice that you could configure each of these individual charts rather than relying on the layout coming from the template. So you would do that in the normal way that you always did previously. And I'll turn off template linking, so I don't want the layout to change when I change within the template. So now I can choose to have different chart layouts. Any of the predefined layouts, for instance the squeeze layout, or any of the other layouts that are defined in here, or I can create my own layout, and in exactly the same way that I used to be able to do that. Those are predefined layouts. Now I could also, as before, start to construct my own layout, maybe delete a few of the areas that are on a particular chart, and maybe change the chart time period to be a monthly chart, and then I could save that layout as normal. And in this case, I'm really only saving a chart layout for the individual chart, which will then appear under my layouts on the right hand side. So what I've just done is use the chart layout controls, or the controls that are embedded in this window that allow me to configure an individual chart. And they are the symbols panel, the formula parameters panel, the chart scripts panel, and the chart layouts panel, in addition to the buttons, the move area up, move area down, add new area, and save. Now, if I'm using a template to control the layout of the chart, then I don't really need to see all of those panels and all of those buttons, and it adds a little bit of confusion potentially to the chart if you see them. You might prefer a much more simplified view, in which case you can turn off the customization controls, and now you get a little bit more screen real estate, and the charts just become a lot cleaner. So that might be a preferred way for you to view your charts. And if I turn on template linking again, you'll see this George Lee squeeze layout will now, as I start scrolling around, will now go back to the configured layout for this template, which is the MACD layout. Now, if I didn't want to start with one of the base chart arrangements, what I could do is start with the single chart layout and then add my own charts to that layout. And I can use the add chart to the bottom button up here. So it adds a new chart to the bottom of the existing arrangement. I can add a chart to the right. So it's now, I've got the top one I had previously, the bottom one I just added, and this new chart on the right hand side that I just added. And I'll turn off those controls, so that just makes it a lot more simple to view. And you can start to use these other buttons to configure your own arrangement. Flip vertical, basically you draw an imaginary vertical line down through this window, and if I say flip around the vertical axis, it's just going to flip these charts so that you have what was on the right hand side is now on the left, and vice versa. Flip horizontal, draw an imaginary horizontal line through the center of this window and say now flip around that line. So now we've changed these two charts here. Humana and Microsoft have now changed. If I want to change the rows and columns of charts, so imagine that what you're seeing here is one column of charts. Microsoft and Humana on this side, that's a column. And Microsoft on its own over here is a separate column. If I say transpose to transpose rows and columns, what I'm going to do is switch the rows and columns. So now what you see is Microsoft moved up to the top, and the Microsoft and Humana over here are down on the bottom. And I can transpose again and get back to where we started. So once you've got a layout configured, what you would do is hit the Save Current Arrangement, and you have to type a name for your arrangement, and you might call it my new arrangement, for example. And now that's saved. So if I was to, for instance, let's go back to the single chart arrangement, and now I want to bring back the arrangement I just created, my new arrangement, I can double click on it and it comes back into view. So that's about it for the new multi-chart viewer. It's very useful for some of the templates. In particular, MACD divergence trading makes a lot of use of using weekly and daily divergences, and it's always useful to look at higher time frames and then lower time frames when you're trading with pretty much any trading strategy. So it's a very useful update to EdgeRater PRO Unleashed, and have a play around with it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks a lot. Bye.